that inflation is spreading, but I don't see people going around coughing inflation on each other. I think, and I understand supply chains matter, but so does the demand side, and so does too much money chasing too few goods. And I don't think, and I don't think any fair-minded person thinks that inflation is solely the result of the pandemic. Let me move on.
You know a Senate hearing is about to go sideways when a politician asks a simple question and suddenly the answer sounds like somebody trying to explain advanced algebra during a power outage. Senator John Kennedy walked into this hearing and basically said what millions of Americans have been thinking ever since inflation wrecked grocery bills, gas prices, and savings accounts. And once he dropped the line about people not coughing inflation on each other, the entire room got uncomfortable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor, Director, congratulations on your nomination. Governor, I realize at the Federal Reserve that you have a big staff that advises you on inflation. And based on their track record, my guess is they also advised people to buy condos in Las Vegas in 2007. But you don't have to accept their advice. So, with respect to your predictions on inflation, how did you get it so wrong?
Well, Senator, thank you.
Could you move closer to the mic for me?
Yes, of course. Thank you for your question, Senator.
You're welcome.
So I think, nobody got the pandemic right. The pandemic is unprecedented.
But I'm asking you about inflation.
Yeah. So I think as forecasters, private forecasters, certainly the forecasters, the SEP, the whole committee, we thought that perhaps we would see a more rapid resolution of the pandemic and the supply-demand mismatches, so in particular in cars.
Excuse me for interrupting, but I don't have much time. Do you think are you saying that inflation was caused by the pandemic?
So we certainly have seen the perpetuation, for instance, of the Delta variant leading to
yes, ma'am. But are you saying that the inflation is caused by the pandemic?
I certainly think the supply-demand imbalances that have been the biggest contributors to the very high inflation we've seen are directly attributable to supply chain issues, distortions in demand.
Well, but here's what troubles me about that. I'll agree that inflation is spreading, but I don't see people going around coughing inflation on each other. I think, and I understand supply chains matter, but so does the demand side, and so does too much money chasing too few goods. And I don't think, and I don't think any fair-minded person thinks that inflation is solely the result of the pandemic. Let me move on.
So this exchange starts with Kennedy trying to get one clear answer. Was inflation actually caused by the pandemic? And immediately you notice something familiar in Washington. Nobody wants to answer directly. Instead, we get supply chain disruptions, demand imbalances, the Delta variant, and a bunch of polished Federal Reserve language designed to sound intelligent while avoiding accountability at the same time. Then comes the heated moment. Kennedy says, "I don't see people going around coughing inflation on each other." And honestly, that line hit because regular Americans already know what happened. People watched the government print trillions of dollars, flood the economy with spending, shut down production, and then somehow act shocked when inflation exploded afterward. That's not some mysterious economic accident. That's what happens when too much money starts chasing too few goods. Basic economics. But what makes this exchange interesting is how calm Kennedy stays while completely dismantling the narrative in real time. He's not yelling, he's not performing outrage, he's just asking painfully simple questions that nobody in Washington seems comfortable answering honestly. And the nominee keeps trying to redirect the conversation back into technical language because once politicians and economists start speaking in paragraphs, usually it means they're trying not to say the obvious part out loud. Then Kennedy pivots into another issue conservatives have been warning about for years: government pressure on private banks. He asks whether regulators should discourage banks from lending to gun manufacturers and oil and gas companies. Now, that question matters a lot more than people think, because lately there's been this growing trend where federal agencies quietly encourage financial institutions to avoid industries they politically dislike. And technically, nobody has to ban anything outright if banks are pressured into doing the job for them. That's why Kennedy kept pushing. The nominee says, "That's not our job." Okay, fair enough, but Kennedy wanted a public commitment because Americans have seen too many situations where the official public statement sounds reasonable while something very different happens behind closed doors. And honestly, that's why clips like this spread online so fast. People are tired of watching officials dodge basic questions while pretending average Americans are too stupid to notice what's happening around them. Families know their groceries cost more. They know gas prices matter. They know housing costs are insane. And they definitely know inflation didn't appear because somebody sneezed near a cargo ship. Kennedy's dry humor works because it cuts through all the scripted talking points instantly. He talks like somebody sitting at a kitchen table trying to make sense of a system that increasingly sounds disconnected from normal life. And whether people agree with him politically or not, he forced a conversation Washington clearly didn't want to have. At the end of the day, this hearing wasn't really about complicated economics. It was about trust. Americans are exhausted from being told obvious problems aren't real while their paychecks disappear faster every month. And moments like this go viral because, for once, somebody in Washington said the quiet part out loud.